Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation Today show is sponsored by Parks Yoga. Well, Trump has raised the issue. If you win a Pulitzer Prize for reporting upon all of the Russian hoax collusion involving Trump, and that proves to be completely bogus, should you keep your Pulitzer Prize? I don't think so. Not at all. These people who won a Pulitzer Prize at Trump's expense should not be able to keep their Pulitzer Prize. It ought to be revoked. This is a funny story. It turns out that Jill and Joe Biden apparently fight by text to keep their fights away from the Secret Service. Now, let's paint this picture. You know, Joe has the largest possible letters on his phone that you can, and he's trying to probably find them. Jill's probably chewing on his ass, and Joe's sitting there trying to find how to say something. Is that hysterical? Joe and Jill fighting by text message. A California court ruled that bees are actually fish, so they can stay on some endangered list. Now, I just want to say this. I am pro-bee. I am completely pro-bee. We have learned that bees are necessary in their pollination of almost half our food sources or more. It's an amazing how important bees are. But why can't we just protect bees? Why do we have to be so silly as to call them fish? Popcorn shortage. How about that? Now, all the supply chains, movie theaters are now saying there's a popcorn shortage. Unbelievable. Harry and Meghan, you know, they screwed up even being a royal. You know, you figure you're a royal, you got it made. They're screwing up. Their popularity continues to decrease. Everything that comes out of their mouth is woke or silly or stupid. And how about Meghan actually going to Texas, using that tragedy to try to help her image? These two people are clowns. They might be royal, but they're clowns. Joe Biden does not want to use the expression harden schools with gun control. See, it proves that they don't really care about the safety of children. They don't. Any rational human being would want a well-trained, gun-toting person at each school. Any rational person. But Joe Biden doesn't. The Sussman verdict. There's a juror that said, lying to the FBI is not a big deal. That's how bad it's gotten. Lying to the FBI is not a big deal. Now, besides this judge that wouldn't let a certain text message be used, you can't make this up. There were 3 Clinton donors, an AOC donor, a woman whose daughter's on the same team as Sussman's. That's the jury that decided this case. And the jury, lying to the FBI is not a big deal. Texas anti-censorship law, 5-4. It's been suspended by the U.S. Supreme Court by a temporary injunction order. This was the typical state order that basically fighting back against censorship against big tech. 5-4 decision is kind of crazy. You had some Republicans voting on the side of stopping it. You had Kagan voting with the 3 justices, conservative justices, to keep it intact as it goes through the system. You know, one of my themes I always talk about, and this applies to Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, is I said, you know, these people get to the mountaintop for some inexplicable reasons, and it's not because of competence or anything. This woman is our Treasury Secretary, and she says, I was wrong about inflation. I mean, you're the Treasury Secretary. You shouldn't get it wrong about inflation. China's economy is apparently in tatters, including being short on cash. Well, everybody borrows money from China. Where's China going to go to borrow money? And by the way, we're so dependent upon China. If China collapses, see what happens with the stock market, our economy, supply chains, and everything else. Joe Biden over the weekend said that he got blocked from going to the Naval Academy by Roger Staubach. I mean, another just complete goofy gaffe. When questioned about it, the press secretary simply said, well, I didn't hear that. I mean, it's unbelievable. A Chinese company is going to buy Forbes. See what I'm telling Wall Street? These people don't care about the Chinese. The venerable Forbes magazine going to get sold to the Chinese. School district police are no longer cooperating down at the Robb Elementary. The Uvalde, they're not cooperating. The district police, the school district police. That's unbelievable. Again, I want to stress this. Those police officers and those facts and circumstances failed. That doesn't make all police bad, and we don't need the DOJ to investigate. The Depp Heard trial, they got to answer like 40 some odd questions. The jury keeps deliberating. Haven't reached a verdict after a full day yesterday. They asked a question about the op-ed piece, which clearly shows to me that they're probably still on the issue of liability. Of course, Johnny Depp wins regardless of what the verdict is. Supreme Court leak. Republicans are wanting to pass a law. They're always reactionary, both parties. They react. They have no vision. They just react. They want to have a law that makes it a crime to leak something out of the Supreme Court. By the way, the marshals have asked for all the law clerks' phone records, phones, and asking them to sign affidavits. LA lifeguards. You know, I'm torn about this. On one hand, I'm thinking good for the lifeguards because look how much everybody else makes in the world. On the other hand, I'm thinking poor taxpayers. LA lifeguards, the leading LA lifeguards made like $500,000 last year, and the other ones have made like $200,000 through some manipulation of the system, some non-compete agreement. You know what? We need lifeguards. But if you're an LA County taxpayer paying lifeguards that amount of money, but again, on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, how much CEOs and everything else make? Yeah, good for the lifeguards. Oz and McCormick, a court heard yesterday arguments about whether or not the write-in ballots, which are clearly submitted on time, but just inadvertently didn't have a date on, should be counted. I think they should be counted. Oz thinks they shouldn't be counted. McCormick thinks they should be counted. If you know it was turned in on time, in other words, this is a technical issue with that date not being on the ballot, I say count them. Musk versus Twitter. Musk went after Twitter, says things are weird on his Twitter account of who's being able to see it. They've already manipulated his account and he's buying the company. You can't make it up. He also mocked them for their LGBTQ baloney that they always try to put on the big act. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. I hope today is yours.